Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Nondogozo Masulu. I will be your host for this afternoon. And I'm also the convener of Accelerate Afrique, which is essentially one of the organizations that have made it possible for us to have this meeting today. So our sponsors are Solidaridad and conveners are Accelerate Afrique. So I am the convener of Accelerate Afrique. And essentially, Accelerate Afrique is a global community for African women in leadership. And our mission is to develop African women across the globe. And one of the channels that we are doing that is to partner with organizations such as Solidaridad to create platforms such as these where people can learn from each other, share insights, and network as well. So thank you so much for joining us today. Please check out our Facebook page and join our community on Facebook and LinkedIn, Accelerate Afrique, and also check out our website, which is accelerateafrique.org. Accelerateafrique.org. And Solidaridad, unfortunately, my partner in crime, Precious, won't be with us today. She is part of Solidaridad, and unfortunately, she's unable to join us today because of work commitments elsewhere. But wherever she is, she's doing an amazing job. I know she would have loved to be here because this is a topic that she's passionate about. We're talking about farming and technology, or rather technology in agriculture, and she's very passionate about it. Unfortunately, she's not able to join us today, but she will be sorely missed. So thank you so much, and we have four amazing speakers that will be sharing their stories, their journeys, their experiences with us today. And so without further ado, I'll ask them to just introduce themselves just briefly, and then we'll get started with our discussion. So maybe we'll start off with Benedict, and then Mercy, Chantal, and then last but not least, Elias. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So my name is Benedict Mundere Kuvuna. I'm from Democratic Republic of Congo. So I have a company named Surprise Tropical. It's a juice bar where we make fresh juice. We work with farmers and many people so we can be able to make fresh juice. And also I work in a company named AgriBoost Consulting. It's a company where we help people to start their business in agriculture and help them to make money in that business and to do real business in that sector. So this is briefly what I can say about me.
Thank you so much for that. Over to you, Mercy.
Thank you, Nonto. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me today. My name is Mercy Chachpoka Jowa. I am a farmer or a food technologist turned farming. So we are in the business of production of high value horticulture crops, watermelon, garlic, onions, ginger, turmeric, green peppers, you name it. And we supply the local market, and we're working on our certifications for the export market. Even though we are exporting to countries like Zambia that do not necessarily need any specifications like the global gap. We also have a subsidiary to that company, which is called Westhawk Natural Foods, that is in the business of drying fruits and vegetables. So for later as a snack and raw material for further processing, the likes of your mangoes, your peaches, apples, bananas, and any fruit. Actually, any fruit can be dried. So basically, that's what we are. We are based in Zimbabwe, and our farm is in the eastern Mashonaland east part of Zimbabwe in Beatrice. That's where we practice conventional agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I don't know, there's an echoing there. I don't know whether there's two of you online, but it seems to be a bit.
So I'd actually connected two devices. So let me switch off the other one, disconnect the other one.
Chantal, over to you.
Hi. Hey everybody. I came onto this platform very randomly, and I'm very grateful for your for your open arms, Nanto. It has been amazing chatting to you. So yes, I am Chantal. I have a short-term insurance company that specializes specifically in risk management and risk mitigation from insurance. And what we realized was that it is very often other than just insuring in this case, a farm, there wasn't a lot of guidance in terms of risk management before you actually mitigated that risk in terms of insurance. So I know that we will be talking in a little bit more details later on, but in a nutshell, what we do is we help our farmers connect with technologies in the industry to help them, number one, mitigate their risk or manage their risk better, which means that we as an insurance company are, obviously confident in their processes and so on. So we work with companies that help with ISO and CE certification, FDA approvals in terms of exporting. So Mercy, that's something that you would definitely know a lot about as well. And at the end of the day, just helping our farmers then, when they are farming, to do it in a more risk-averse way, and then helping them to reduce their cost of insurance in the same process. So along the way, what we found is I've been in the accelerator space quite a bit, met amazing companies like Jade that's on the panel today with us as well. And I'll tell you a little bit about them later on. But what happened was that it's so expensive, but it's very expensive, and it takes so much time for these companies, these tech startups, these tech companies to reach the markets and to reach you, the farmers, as their clients. Whereas if you have the ability to bring those technologies to the farmers and obviously help them connect and network, there's a very, very big opportunity there for a lot of these tech startups. And I would be very happy to introduce our farmers on here to those technologies.
Thank you so much for that, Chantal. And then Elias, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elias.
Yes, sorry.
I'm from, from a very small tech startup. We're based in Johannesburg in South Africa. The name of our company is called Instinct Technologies. We are driven by the need to deliver, the technology solutions that are instinctive, connected, as well as responsive. And I think we believe that technology can, in the best interests of humanity, advance human ambitions with, technology partnership. And I think there's three things that are quite core and, or should I say fundamental to what we do as a business. And those are delivering on intuitive, connected, and responsive solutions. And, to get the best out of any technology, the technology's ability to communicate to externalities is essential because it expands its reach, adds value to its clients, and becomes part of an ecosystem. Now, we have seen that the robustness of an ecosystem drives success of hidden technology. And for a drone company like ourselves, IoT, 5G network, robotics, and cloud computing, forms part of the technology ecosystem. And our sustainability will then be driven by our ability to optimize the ecosystem to deliver differentiated services in the long run, across quite a few industries. Now, the instinctive response to decision-making, object identification, data processing, and predictive tooling becomes core to what we do as a drone and data-driven company. This is another 14 that's important to us and our longevity in the industry. Now, if we cannot build intuitive software, we'll not by a significant degree make things simpler, faster, cost-effective, and efficient for our clients. Now, we are responsible for ensuring that our services are agile to respond to changing business environments and our clients' operational requirements. Now, our expertise in the drone industries, as we stand today, stems from mining, energy, and agriculture. We offer infrastructure inspection services, mining-related services such as grade control and stockpile management. In agriculture, we offer plant health monitoring services, soil analysis, and pesticides administering services. Yeah, that's a brief background about who we are.
Thank you so much for that, Elias. We appreciate that. And I'm sure as we have a conversation today, we will have a better understanding of what everybody else does and what they have to offer. And to everybody who is joining us today, thank you once again. Please may you use that chat box to tell us where you are coming from. And if you have any questions for our panelists, please ask into the questions. And we also want to hear from you. So if you're knowledgeable about our discussion today, you know about some technologies out there that you'd love people to know about, please feel free to raise your hand and or share on the chat box, and we'll be more than happy to read what it is that you would have typed. So let's engage. Please engage with us, and let's make this worth our time. So I think I spoke about accelerated feed, but I want to go ahead and just talk a little bit about Solidaridad, who, like I said, are our sponsors. We are so grateful for them. Without Solidaridad, we wouldn't be here today. So essentially, Solidaridad is an organization that is in over, I think, 40 countries. And they are doing some incredible work out there. So if you would like to know a little bit more about Solidaridad, it's an international civil society organization. If you want to know a little bit more about what they do, please visit their social media pages. I know they're on LinkedIn and they're on Facebook, and you can get more details about what they do. So now today our topic, like I said, is technology in agriculture. And we will discuss how farmers can use technology to make their farm operations more efficient, productive, and profitable. But we also want to look at how this can be achieved in sustainable ways. So we are going to start our conversation by maybe talking to Elias and Chantal. And we must kind of define some terms for us. So technological innovation are reshaping the way farming is done. The modernization of agriculture and the use of digital technology has caused new concepts to emerge, such as we talk about precision farming, digital farming, and smart farming. And many times people interchange these terms, but they are different. You know, they mean different things. So could you please just break down what these terms mean? So we have precision agriculture, maybe we'll start with that. And then digital farming, and the last one will be smart farming. So any of you can start, either Chantal or Elias.
All right, I can start. Look, I think, before I answer the question, I think it's important I stress, both the challenges and opportunities that will face the agriculture sector. So, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the world population will reach 9.1 billion by 2050. And to feed the number of people, global food production will need to grow by 70%. Now, for Africa, which is projected to be home to about 2 billion people by then, farm productivity must accelerate at a faster rate than the global average to avoid continued mass hunger. Now, to be able to achieve that, we'll need to change farming methods to precision farming, digital farming, and as well as smart farming. Now, coming to precision farming, I think it's when all the different technologies, such as but not limited to Internet of Things and drone technology for farming, are effectively and efficiently used. Now, most local farmers are price takers, right? Meaning they don't have too much wiggle room when deciding how much to charge for the goods they produce. However, what they do have control over is how efficient their processes are, directly impacting their farming costs. Now, that's where the opportunity for precision farming comes to play in assisting farmers in better controlling production costs, right? You look at aerial images from drones, weather forecasts, and soil sensors are making it possible to manage crop growth in real time. Automated systems provide early warnings if there are any deviations from normal growth or other factors. Analyzing soil data like temperature, nutrients, and vegetative to help farmers apply the right fertilizers and optimally irrigate their farms. The goal is to improve productivity through precision farming. So that will be my definition on precision farming. And moving along to digital farming, I think it's one way to view farming is as a branch of matrix algebra, right? A farmer must consistently juggle a set of variables such as the weather, his soil's moisture levels, and nutrients content, competition to his crops from weeds, threats to their health, and pests and diseases. And the cost of taking action to deal with these things, if it does the algebra correctly or does it on his behalf, he'll optimize his yield and maximize his profit. Now, digital farming uses available digital tools such as blockchain, big data analytics, and cloud computing to monitor performance, make informed decisions, yield predictions, monitor crop health, and identify any threats and optimize and legitimize data and data security. It helps with that. It gives farmers a greater degree of control of the various moving variables. Now, farmers will be able to identify many of these issues early on and put in mitigating factors. So that will be my definition on the two. I'm not quite sure about smart farming in terms of how different is it to the two, or whether it's somewhere or somehow a combination of the two.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing, Elias. Chantal, is there anything that you'd like to add on to, and maybe also talk about smart farming?
That was, Elias, I think you covered so many of the most important topics, and I'm I can see that you definitely know what you're talking about in this instance. One thing that I can maybe just raise is the changing environment when it comes to finance and farming, finance credits, access to capital to grow. And that's one thing that we definitely need to be more attentive on and make our farmers more attentive on as well, where you could have the ability to not just use the traditional ways of raising capital to start or to grow your produce and your existing farms, but also to be able to reach out to alternative sources of either income or capital. So there's multiple other new entities like, there's a few in South Africa, there's a few in Africa, and I'll name a few of those later on. But to open up our minds to alternative ways of funding our businesses as well.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you so much, Elias and Chantal. And so really, we will be using these terms interchangeably. So we talk about apps, so we're talking about mobile phones, or we're talking about data-driven technology. Really, that's what we're talking about today. So as we're talking about technology, we are talking precision, we're talking the smart, and we're also talking the digital farm. So now my next question is going to go to, I think we will then now start talking a little bit more about the technologies that are out there. And Elias, I think you have already mentioned what it is that your organization has to offer, but if you could just tell us in terms of agriculture technology solutions, please tell us a little bit more about agriculture technology solutions that your organization is offering at the moment.
Okay, so at the moment we do plant health monitoring. So it's equipped with special imaging equipment called Normalized Difference Vegetation Index, right? It uses detailed color information to indicate plant health. We do soil analysis, which uses microwave sensing drones capture very accurate soil health information, including moisture levels without the plants getting in the way. And we also offer pesticide administering. So the drone gathers data that identifies the different reflective properties of weeds, pest detection, as well as crop spraying. So that's what we offer at the moment as a business, but we're looking at venturing out to IoT. We currently looking at blockchain technology, and as well as we integrating design thinking methodology in our approach. So what that actually enables us to do is to innovate and solve farmers' problem side by side way of doing business in terms of bringing solutions to clients, but rather we want a solution together with the clients, and that's where we believe that's where the opportunity and the opportunity for innovation is. Bringing all different perspectives together to solve common problems.
Okay, thank you for that. Now maybe tell us a little bit more about drones. You said you're a drones organization. Maybe just tell us what those are and essentially how they work.
So drones are a means of collecting data. So they make it easy, for us to collect all the meaningful data that we need. That can enable us to solve some of the issues that I've mentioned. So if you look at a drone, it's just an enabler. I think the powerful tool to all of this, it's the analytics behind it. So when you start incorporating big data analytics, artificial intelligence or machine learning into the system, now you start to get more out of the drones. But drones is a standalone product. It doesn't have so much value. But if farmers can have a good mixture of drone technology, with heavily backed up AI softwares, to resolve some of the key issues in their farms. That's where the value is.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And once again, to all our delegates, those who are listening in, if you have any questions, please ask those questions. If you want to add on to what has been said, please go ahead and use that and type those messages, and we would love to hear from you. Thank you so much. Now, Chantal, over to you. I know you are in this sweet spot where you are in a position to connect farmers with suppliers or manufacturers of technology. Please tell us a little bit more of about what you're seeing out there, what maybe some of your clients have to offer. I would love to hear that from you. Please go ahead and share.
I wish I had an hour to tell you about everybody that I've come across. It's a long list. I'll tell you some of my most interesting ones though, and then this is up for a giggle. So we attended the Web Summit in Portugal about 2018, and we were there's always the kind of this collaboration and the startups kind of chat to each other, and there was this team from New Zealand, and obviously what you guys do and so on, and they were like, well, we have blockchain bull semen, and we were like, you have done what? And it was just the most fundamental, incredible thing that these guys have built. So that's just one of the most unusual but just ingenious ways that they have built the ability to take very archaic legacy systems of DNA and gene pool data, and have been built the ability to blockchain this in terms of being able to also have access to the DNA that they have in their stock, which means that you can import a very, very high quality gene pool of cattle or whatever it is that you're preferring. And it doesn't have to be just cattle, it can be wild, it can be anything. It can be literally any animal that needs to be, or that can be grown, or not grown, that can be produced, sorry. It was just something that triggered in my mind. And I was like, hold on, if these guys have been able to do this, there must be, a lot more other companies that are out there. And like I said earlier, you know, I've been in this startup space for some of my own companies. One of my own companies was voted one of the 10 top 10 startups on the African continent. We went through an accelerator, and then just subsequently, as you go through these accelerators, I met Jade, for instance, via Grindstone. She's got an incredible product that helps. It's called Real Gardening, and it is literally have the ability to manage literally the depth, the soil, the water, everything from planting it, and it's literally runs on a little piece of paper. The technology behind that, she's definitely going to be able to tell you a lot better than that. But then they also have an application connected to that, which gives you the insights in terms of when to water, when to harvest, when to plant. You know, that's the future of agriculture. That's what we need to have. I'll tell you about a company called Sirion that I met through our Grindstone Accelerator, which has the ability to pick up and manage your security from a farm point of view. That's a very, very big issue, I think, in Africa in general, especially from our female farmers' point of view. And there is not enough emphasis on how important the security of a farmer is. And the massive losses that we in South Africa and in general in Africa have when we lose farmers due to, you know, something that could have been avoided. And we can use technology. So Sirion has developed incredible technology that has the ability to pick up unauthorized devices, smartphones and so on your premises. They have the ability to monitor your stock. So it's simple things like if you have gas bottles and you have gas bottles coming in and out of your facility, they have the ability to pick up how much is left, how much is coming in, which gives the farmer just so much more time to actually increase the existing business instead of running around. And I mean, it's typical thing that happens in agriculture where they are constantly running around trying to solve problems that shouldn't have been problems in the first place. And that's just like a few of the companies that I have gotten to know. And obviously from an insurance point of view, these things trigger my mind because we need to make sure that our customers are managing their risk. And you know, it's our responsibility as an insurer to mitigate the risk and to help you, even in the event that you have a claim, that you've done everything on your side to be able to manage that risk. And at the end of the day, to make insurance less of a grudge purchase, but to rather have a partnership. And that's like our dream, is to be able to connect our farmers as clients with these technologies.
Thank you for sharing that, Chantal. And for sure, you know, you shared something with me during the week where you said nothing is impossible. And I think with those new technologies that are coming up, really nothing is impossible. You know, from the examples that you cite, it's really just about thinking outside the box, really, and just thinking, you know, what does the farmer need? What do they require? And then coming up with these technologies to help farmers to be able to run their ventures more efficiently, I guess. So that's, thank you very much. And maybe there are people out there who would like
the
to—
chances are, I just need to say to you that it probably still already exists. If you have a problem, you probably just don't know that there's already a product out there that can solve your problem. It's connecting those with you. And with the marketing costs of these companies that come out of these accelerators, they're brilliant companies founded by brilliant people. But the cost of getting to the market is significant. And I think we need to play a role in that. Sorry, it is quite noisy where I am, so I'm going to just mute quickly.
Thank you so much for that, Chantal, and that is so true. And I'm sure there are people out there who are listening and they're thinking, okay, so where do we get these things? Where do we get these technologies from? So if you could just just type your email address so that people, you know, if anybody wants to get in touch with you and wants to know a little bit more about what you spoke about, they can get in touch with you. I think same applies to you, Elias. Please just type your email address so that people can get in touch with you and get to know a little bit more about what it is that you're sharing. So now we're going to move over to Mercy and Benedict. And like Mercy and Benedict shared, they are farmers. And so they are in it. You know, they wake up every morning and they go out in the field and they're farming and they're helping other farmers as well to maximize their potential. So I'm going to start with Mercy. Mercy, we spoke about, during the week, we spoke about interface technology. And I know that is something that you are passionate about talking about. So please, can you talk to us about the day-to-day user interface technology that farmers can adopt? What is it and how can it be used?
Thank you once again, Nonto. So for day-to-day interface technology farming is what Elias earlier on spoke about or defined as precision farming in essence. So you are simply utilizing sensor-equipped devices along your field. And these will tell you exactly where your problems are and the issues are highlighting, and they notify you well in advance. So for example, if you're doing greenhouse farming, you have a smart greenhouse that is equipped with sensors for humidity, for temperature losses, for evaporation, and the likes. Even if you're doing open field agriculture, you can also do temperature sensors and moisture sensors. These can highlight and notify you when temperatures are dropping. Normally in winter, temperatures go way below and you have frost affecting most of your crops. So with day-to-day technology interface like sensor devices, they can notify you when you are about to have a huge temperature drop that may cause frosting, which may then affect your crops. This will either sound an alarm or whatever that it triggers. In some instances, some established farms, you'll find that they will have these devices attached to a trigger that then operates the greenhouse nets or the black sheeting, that black polythene plastic paper to cover the crops and give it that cover to such that when the frost falls, it doesn't necessarily fall directly on the leaves, but it will be sort of collected on top of the netting or the plastic sheeting. And then when it thaws, it may be collected as water that is used to re-water the plants, or it may just be lost along the system. So simply put, it's utilizing temperature sensors in sensor devices in your day-to-day farming. So you find a lot of the technologies also being integrated in the implements that we use on our farms, our plows, our planters, etc. I know AGCO has a lot of the smart tractors already on the market, with their premium range of tractors that has an arm which it utilizes when it's doing the plowing and the disking. It will tell you on a computer box and computer interface or the desktop system that there's so much of nutrients in the soil, there's so much of organic matter that is in the soil. So in the end, you need to just supplement the difference instead of applying your fertilizers haphazardly. And what that does is it gives you a saving in terms of your resource use, your raw material inputs. You're not just applying blindly. You are now at an informed position and you know exactly what you're adding. And this is more or less the integration that's coming into place with hydroponic system. I know we are going to speak more in detail about hydroponics or aquaponics at a later stage, but it's also the same situation where you're precisely knowing what your soil in this case requires, because you're doing conventional farming using the soil, and you actually know what nutrients and organic matter in the soil and what then do you need to add on. And if it's about moisture that's required for germination, what supplementary watering system do you need? If you are going to add a little bit of more water before you plant, how much of the how many mils of water do you need to be adding before you can start planting. So that gives you that precision that you require. You're not just doing things and you're not just planting in a soil that you're not aware what the status of the nutrients are, even in the presence of a laboratory soil analysis test results. Because even if you get that laboratory soil testing results, yes, you will be adding maybe liming, for instance, if you're told your soil is too acidic. But at what rate are you adding? And is it getting to that amount? That's what's lacking. But with now precision agriculture and sensor equipped devices, you will now know at whatever stage what is the problem and what is the range, and to which supplementation would you need to put in. I think in summary, that's the day-to-day user interface of technology, aside from the use of the likes of the tutor traps. You know, if you're in horticulture, you know that most of the problems that we have is the tutor attack. And with tutor traps that are technologically placed and that are censored, they will be telling you when you're about to have, and they can trap that. And also we will, the use of drones as well is it's not a day-to-day technology that is used, but where you can engage the services of Elias and their teams. There are so many of those out there now, and they can be helping you in scouting your crops, because they give you images of satellite images of your field, so they can come and tell you exactly when you are having a fall armyworm attack. And you can obviously know that, because if you're doing 1,000 hectares of maize, you need you can't do the scouting every day by foot or even by motorbike. You are bound to be skipping some spaces. But if you utilize technology like drone systems as well, they can then be doing the scouting for you and taking those images, satellite images for your crops, and they report back to say, we might be having, if you analyze those reports now, you can then see that you may need to go in and prevent and start attacking the fall armyworm or whatever it is, the disease that you would have identified. So I think in brief, that's what it is, in case I overshoot on my time.
Thank you so much for that, Mercy. And, you know, I think, you know, for somebody who wants to still doesn't quite understand what precision is all about, precision agriculture, precision is really about accuracy. So I think these technologies allow people to, you know, they have the data to make the right decisions at the right time. So you're not guessing, you're not thinking, okay, is my soil okay? Is this the right soil for this type of crop? Or is this, you know, the guesswork is over. Precision is about data, it's data-driven, and the accuracy, you're able to do things, you know, at the right time and the right amounts. That's what precision agriculture is all about. I'm just going to share a few of these comments before I cross over to Benedict. No, hi Nono, thank you so much for joining us. She says, I've come across this brilliant technology which helps to monitor and track harvesting of fresh produce or food. The organization is called Agrigistics, and she's put their contacts there at agrigistics.co.za, agrigistics.co.za. Thank you so much for that. And there's somebody else here, Period Muteba from Congo. What is she saying? Okay, no, okay, I'll skip that for a while. For a little bit, I'll read it, and then I'll read it to everybody else after I've had a read. But now over to you, Benedict. So Benedict, I know that you are in Congo, and you are passionate about coming up with solutions that are context specific. So for example, we were talking during the weekend, you said Africa needs to come up with their own technology that addresses African challenges. Okay, so I would like you to just share from your experience what you are seeing out there. What are people doing out there that is, you know, that is basically context specific technology? and also what you are doing in your personal capacity to help in your own capacity to provide solutions to agricultural challenges in your own community.
So thank you for the question. So for me, as I was saying though during the week, there is urgent reason that we need to think about technology. The first thing is about increasing increasing the production, because we need to increase the production because the population is increasing. Because the population is increasing, so we need to increase the production as well. So like they're saying, in 2100 Africa will have 4.4 billion of people. So we need to use technology to increase the production. The second thing is the climate change resilience. Because of the climate change resilience, so the more we will produce food, the more the soil will have some challenges. So we need to think about technology. As Elias was saying, the way we need to think about it is to design thinking. The design thinking is like putting the user in the center of the solution, because most of the time we have solutions that come from other country, and then when we bring those solutions, we it's not working for Africa. So it's reason why we need to think about content, the solution that can help to increase production, can help for climate change resilience. So last week I was seeing a solution in Benin. The name is Zaïk Mécanisé. So Zaïk Mécanisé, it's like you can create hole in the soil so that it can, when it's raining, it can absorb water, and then still you can have the good quality of production. The other thing is the vertical farm. In Uganda, I saw there is a vertical farm where you can grow, even you don't have a lot of space, you can still grow in the vertical way. And then I saw another one, WeSharp. It's a machine where you can put organic waste, and then it transforms those organic waste to soil nutrients. So there are a lot of solutions, but for me, as I was saying, the good thing is to create solutions that are adapt for Africa. We don't just need to take solution and then bring it to our continent, but we need to content like find solution that is adapt for our problems. So on my side, as I was saying, I'm in the consulting. We try to find give advice to people, but as I was saying last week, I want to think about how to create a center where we create solution for Africa, agricultural solution for Africa. And I think that will help to solve many problems.
Thank you for that. Maybe can you tell us a little bit about an agri-lab? You spoke about an agri-lab. Would you like to just tell us a little bit about that? I think it's something that you're hoping to do, that you're wanting to do. Maybe just speak a little bit about that.
Sorry?
You spoke a little bit about an agri-lab, how you are actually wanting to come up with an agri-lab. And I noticed your co-founder is on here. I think that's the message from your co-founder. Thank you so much for joining us. And they've also mentioned agri-lab, an innovation and solutions center. Maybe please tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So as I was saying, it's a project we are working on. So how to create an innovation center where we can create solution for Africa's challenges on agriculture. So we find we need to, like as I was saying, we are in the fourth industrial revolution. So we have technology every day. So we need to think technology. We need to be in technology. So like we have a lot of challenges in agriculture. the better way for us to create our own solution is to understand problems, like using the design thinking, like understand problems and see how to create our own solution. So we were thinking about creating a solution center where we design solution for the problems of our community in agriculture.
Okay. No, thank you so much for that, Benedict. I'm going to talk to Mercy a little bit about vertical farming. Mercy, Benedict has just mentioned briefly on vertical farming, and that's the thing now it's a buzzword, vertical farming. And when you're talking about vertical farming, you're talking about hydroponics, aquaponics, aeroponics. So please just break it down and tell us what that is all about and how it works.
Okay, thank you, Nonto, and thank you, Benedict, for bringing that interesting subject and new technologies into the discussion. For me, my going day-to-day saying these days is you can never hold back technology, as you cannot hold back the wind. So you can't hold back the wind. It will always blow, which are now in. Technology is here and it's here to stay. So whether we like it or not, we are supposed to embrace technology in all things that we do. So agriculture being the backbone of most of the African economies, we need to embrace it because it's here to stay. And with that being said, I will speak briefly about hydroponics. It's hydroponics is just a system of growing crops in that it substitutes nutrient-rich system materials that you use instead of the soil. You use less dense systems like coconut fiber, like pine bark. There's quite a number of material, vermiculite, perlite, that you can use as your root system structure. So that substitutes the soil. So it's a soilless system of farming where you have the root support system, which are the ones that I was speaking about, the vermiculite, the pine bark, etc. Those are the ones that then holds your root structure, and there's constantly water moving around the system, and that water is sort of in a closed circulation system where you can, after this it flows to sort of wastewater, it then gets refiltered back into the system. So in essence, or in short, what we are utilizing is a system that is soilless, number one. Number two, you are using a system that is nutrient dense, and you are in a sort of an aqueous environment where you are adding the nutrients specific to the plant that you're growing into the water, and then that flows and that feeds back into maybe a connected system to your computer that's to detect and tell you when there's an imbalance in the system. So that's about hydroponics in simple terms. And when we then combine hydroponics and aquaculture, we call that aquaponics. So what you're doing is it's a combination of hydroponics together with aquaculture. Aquaculture is the production of fish. So with production of fish, there's a nutrient-rich wastewater that is produced. So the waste from the fish and everything drops into the water, and that water is rich. It's like your manure system from your cattle and all the other animals, livestock that you add into your soil. But in this case, it's coming from the fish pond, for example, the space that you're growing or producing your fish. And then that wastewater is pumped into now the area where you're doing your hydroponics, where you are using that soilless system to grow your plants. And you find that mostly hydroponics is used to grow your horticulture crops. There's so many advantages of why we are now integrating these kind of technologies, the hydroponics and the aquaponics, into agribusiness or agriculture. Why is it useful to do that? Number one, it's a very sustainable system in that you use less of your resources. Water, which is our number one most precious resource, you use 98% less water in a hydroponic system and aquaponic system. Why? Because it's a closed system and you're recycling the wastewater by refiltering it and repopulating it with the nutrients and adding it back to the system. Same when you're using your wastewater from your aquaculture directly being fed into the hydroponic system, feeding the crops, and that's a closed system, so less of the water is used and is lost. And because it's almost a closed system, the rate of evaporation is way less than the rate of evaporation on conventional farming. Number two, you are now increasing your yield because you know exactly what you are adding into your crops. You're not shooting in the dark like sometimes what you do with conventional farming, even in the presence of a laboratory analysis which tells you what to add to your soil. Here you actually feed to the soil, to the crops, exactly what it needs in precision, including that accuracy that we were speaking about in terms of the feedback that you get from the big data that you're collecting day to day. Then there's also the issue of diseases and pests and diseases. A lot of times with conventional farming, you walk into your farm and you find that the crop at this point is thriving very well, but the very next neighbor is not thriving at all. It's dropping and you don't know what's wrong with it. And you have so many curveballs, you don't know whether it's your dog that's using that particular plant as its urinary, or it's a pest that is attacking, or what exactly it is. Now with hydroponics and aquaponics system, you actually know what the problem is. You can actually do troubleshooting easily. You can start to troubleshoot by saying, okay, if my plant needs this much magnesium and this much phosphorus and this much calcium, and it's supplied in exact quantities, so it means it's not the nutrients aspect. Maybe now it's left to a pest attack or a disease attack. So it's easier now in terms of troubleshooting, unlike the curveballs that are kept on thrown when you're doing conventional agriculture. So those are some of the advantages, and let alone the timeframes where you're growing. Most of the people that are growing in using hydroponic system, they can have a healthy lettuce in about 5 weeks, where you need at least about 6 weeks for growing in conventional agriculture, or 6 weeks or more. It means you have lessened your time and your productivity is high. Your turnaround time to the market is also high. And you can grow anywhere at any time of the year. You don't have time specifics and seasonal crops. You can do it anytime because it's a controlled environment. You know the amount of light that is required, you know the amount of nutrients that is required, you know the amount of moisture, everything. Even if you're to supplement with carbon dioxide addition, you still know what you're adding. So it's a controlled environment. You can grow anything anywhere at any time. So those are some of the advantages. Now, speaking to vertical agriculture, this is a system where you are not using a horizontal layout of a farm. You are you're growing going up. So the vertical, basically like what vertical means, upright. So from the bottom going up. that's how you're doing. And there's so many ways of doing it. You can use platforms, you can use terraces, so sheets that are more like terraces that you will use to grow. And these are mostly ideal for urban farming because there's limited space in urban areas. And those are the ideal places. Where you're staying at a flat, you need to have your daily dose of your vegetables. You can utilize that kind of system for growing. Maybe Benedict can add as well some of the examples that she has. Thank you. And these technologies are already in Africa. We have quite a number in South Africa. We have quite a number in Zimbabwe. I know Benedict was speaking about Benin and Uganda, and I know Zambia, they're also into the same. So this is not technology that is new, and we are saying what it is. We've already gone on to the bandwagon, and we are already doing it in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I think very elaborate and very clear. I think we all have an understanding of what vertical farming is all about now. Benedict, I don't know if there's anything you want to add on before we move on to the next question.
Yeah, as Mercy was saying, the advantage of this kind of technology and practice, I think the first thing, because we need to take in consideration that the population is going to increase. So we need to feed the population. We need to be aware that we need to feed a lot of people. So using those technology, it allowed us to grow food anywhere and anytime, as she was saying about aquaponic. You can do the aquaponic in any surface of the place. So you, in the urban area where people don't have a lot of space, they can use aquaponic. And then there is aeroponic as well, vertical farmer. And now I was even seeing in Uganda, they are using it in the rural area as well, vertical farmer, because there are some places that they have problem with land. So they cannot use any land. So they can use vertical farmers. As I was saying, also the second things about we need to feed our soil, because sometimes if we still doing the same technique of growing fruit, our soil will become poor in the time. So we still need to use as well vertical farmer using those kind of technology as well. So in Africa, there are some places that they are using it, but we need to keep in mind we need solution for Africa as well.
Thank you so much for that, ladies. We are left with about 15 or so minutes. So we've got just two or so questions that I want to ask. So for the next question, the next lot of questions I'll ask you to be as brief as possible, And if we have any questions from the participants, please can you share, or any contributions, please go ahead and share. So my next question, which I'm going to ask all of you to just be as brief as possible, is going to be around the value chain. So now value chains are structured in ways that are unfavorable to smallholder farmers, who often struggle to access finance or inputs and markets. Now, what technologies can be used to overcome some of these challenges for farmers in value chains? We've already mentioned a few of them, but I would like us to just talk about them briefly so that people have an understanding of what they are. So, Elias, we'll start with you. Can you just tell us a little bit about what chains are, in just layman's terms, and just briefly what they are?
All right, so I'll just keep it brief and just focus on one of the key ones. I think blockchain. It's one of the critical technologies that will play a very fundamental role in the value chain. Simply because it addresses all the elements and reduces the costing of the farming processes, and increase the output's overall efficiency and enhances the value chain. So it also makes the Internet of Things secure, transparent, and tamper-proof. Right? You have access to real-time data about customers, assets, and locations, supported by accelerated digital transactions and complete process traceability. I think this helps with, farm to shelf tracing, right? Transparent supply chains, which are more comprehensive info with each and every step of the supply chain from cultivation to distribution, with every data asset, integrate, what is it? You know what I mean? There's a word, English word that is killing me. That is recorded in a mutable ledger. And also there's instant transactions, as well as streamlined inventory management, which efficiently control every asset in your storage with the digital identity system. It makes, forgery quite challenging in the farming space, as well as the agricultural tech and IoT, couple blockchain and IoT and make farming smarter and real-time data from connected devices will go into a single and secure blockchain platform. I think it's truly an answer to, to give, small players in the farming space quite a competitive edge. And it sort of integrates them into the mainstream of the economy. And allows them to be competitive. And I think, when we looked at the overall, theme of this webinar was that, we wanted to look at productivity, efficiency, and profitability. And I think, blockchain really hits across the three of them, right? It enhances productivity, increases efficiency, as well as has a massive impact in terms of the productivity. It drives, and offers, farmers a better view in terms of what's actually happening in the market, and helps them with the strategic planning and substitution of whatever products that they're farming on their land.
Thank you for that, Elias. Thank you very much. Chantal, please can you just tell us a little bit about, I know crowdfunding is one technology or one technique that people are actually using to mitigate these challenges that smallholder farmers are facing. Please can you tell us a little bit about that too?
Absolutely. So, if we go back to a little bit more about Mercy was talking about and vertical farming and all of these beautiful technologies that come out there, but what we need to be realistic about is the cost of these technologies, and that it sometimes, or actually most of the time, is quite capital intensive, and that the traditional financing models don't really play or help the farmer to reduce their financial risk in the process. So what we found is there's quite a number of new technologies that helps the farmer in terms of crowdfunding. That means that you have access to multiple users who contribute towards the outcome of your farm. So there are so many different players, which I'm happy to connect with, with everybody here offline. But one of the things that I've also come across is produce-based risk finance. And that basically means that they would then have the ability to provide upfront funding without the normal, compounding interest and everything that comes from that, but rather to have it risk-based. So basically providing the capital that you are required to put up, whether it is a tunnel, whether it is a vertical farm, whether it is a new piece of land, different things go through this process. But what this company or these companies that I've reached out to and have reached out to us, they do it in a lot more fluid way. So that means that they don't have a set term where you can then repay the loan. They base it out on the income and help you through the process whilst you are actually growing and producing. And that is something that I think is so much more aligned to what the farmer actually needs, instead of just getting a farm where you're constantly fighting against interest, or equipment or whatever it was that you needed the capital for, but you're constantly fighting against that inflation. You are constantly fighting against the interest. And the traditional financing methods just won't apply, I believe, in the future anymore. And blockchain is actually one of those as well.
Well, thank you for that. And, you know, I think we were speaking about this, Chantal, that I think more and more now there's this awareness that we've got to come together. There's power in numbers. There's power in coming together and combining our resources and whatever it is that we have. Because the more we do that, the more we're able to do. So the more we come together, the more we're able to do. And I think really when we're looking at the future of agriculture, networking, collaboration, partnerships are key into ensuring that we are productive, and as farmers that we are growing as well. So thank you very much for sharing that. I'm going to ask Benedict to tell us a little bit about mobile applications that can be used to help smallholder farmers.
Yeah, there is a little gap between people who produce and people who want to access the product. So in the value chain, there is a gap. So sometimes there are farmers who always say we don't have market, and then people who transform the product, they say we don't have products. So like technology and application are helping people to connect. So as people use application phones to connect, so many people create application to connect, so to reduce those kind of gap, because there is a lot of gap in the value chain of in the value chain. So I'm giving just one example of Kivu Green. It's a company here in Congo, in east part of Congo, who they connect farmer and people who sells or producer. So they have in their application, they put the product that are available. Like this farmer have this product, like he has watermelon from that price, and then the person who wants to transform the product can just go to the application, see the product and see the pricing as well. So there are many applications like this, but I think those applications help to solve those gaps be in the value chain. Like there is another application I saw in Ethiopia where they just say the different price in the market of different products. So you can just go to the application and then you see this product in the market is now this price, so I can sell it in that price. And also they can say, it's also say the weather when you can when you want to grow your products, so you are aware about the weather as well. So those applications are helping to solve the gap between the value chain from the production to the consumption.
Thank you so much, ladies and Liz, for that. And I think we've spoken so much about the technology out there, what is available. I think we've looked at the high end and the low end as well. And a lot of it we have really discussed at the positives, the benefits of these technologies. But quickly, I just want us to just maybe look at some of the challenges that we are facing in terms of modern agriculture or industrialized agriculture. So you'll find that in modern or industrialized agriculture, sometimes the focus is on monoculture. That is where you are farming, say, one crop for a couple of seasons, and you're just farming one crop, and that has an effect on the soil, for example. And you have excessive use of fertilizer, sometimes intensive tillage, pesticide usage, excessive irrigation, the list goes on. So and all this is done to get greater yields. So in the short term, this is an advantage, but it comes with a number of disadvantages. So quickly, Benedict, maybe just share with us, what are some of the disadvantages or some of the challenges that we are now facing because of this modern or industrialized agriculture.
Yeah, like we need to have increase the production, as we were saying at the beginning, because we need people to eat, we need to feed the planet, we need to feed the population, but still sometimes we are we are having problems with our lands because because we use a lot of product to grow, and then we are having problem with our soil. Like today you grow in that place, and then tomorrow you will not be able to grow in the same place because you used a lot of product that destroy the soil. So now there are many soil who becoming very poor because of the product that we are using, the technique that we are using that is not adapt for the soil. So we need the climate resilience solutions so we can adapt it. This is about regarding the soil, but there is also regarding the healthy part as well, because now we are using a lot of product because we need to eat, but in long term we are increasing the number of disease in our body. So we need to think as well. It's good to grow food, but it's good as well to take care of the people who will eat those products. So there are a lot of challenges. Maybe we will not have time to talk about it, but we have a lot of challenges, but we still need to think about solution for those challenges as well. Like as we were saying about the soil, there is a way where we can feed our soil as well. So we're like the recharge, as I was saying, there is a machine where you put your waste, the organic waste, and then create nutrient for soil. So we still need to find solutions so we don't damage our soil and not bring a lot of disease for our body as well. So Alias also had.
Yes, thank you. Please go ahead, Elias.
No, my co-partner wanted to ask a question, Melissa. So I just wanted to know, are the questions open after the discussion, or
okay,
or you can ask questions?
We've got 3 minutes left.
Okay.
Maybe we'll just ask Mercy to quickly also talk about some of the technologies, or some of the, I'm using my words. Some of we've spoken about the challenges, and now we want to talk about what are some of the things that we can be doing, the practices that farmers should actually be adopting that are sustainable.
Sustainable farming.
Yes, sustainable farming. Yes. Just quickly, just tell us, just mention some of them that we can actually be adopting as farmers.
So I'll be very, very quick. Technologies that can be adopted by farmers. Number one, greenhouse farming. It's closest tunnel or whichever. Then there is water harvesting. A lot of rains are coming in, and a lot of the water, the day we are less, we don't have water to irrigate reservoirs, and then collect water during the rainy season on top of the dams the natural water bodies that we have, the dams. Then we can be using those harvested water for irrigation purposes. And I'll deep dive as well straight into irrigation systems. You can either use your overhead systems, but there is a more sustainable one, which is drip irrigation, which just drops in, just like the drip that we know in medical facilities, where you're getting the droplets of water. That's the same kind of irrigation system, that the mechanism of operation of drip irrigation, it's just drip drops onto the crops. There's a specific amount of time at the flow rate that is allowed, so it's conservative in terms of the water. You don't lose as much water and watering everywhere. You are watering exactly where the plant is. And then there's organic farming. We were speaking so much about use of pesticides and chemicals and all these things that have a detrimental effect on our biosystems and biodiversity. So if you're doing organic farming, you're not using any of those chemical fertilizers. You're using organic farming, your manure, your nutrients in organic fertilizer made from organic things, your things that are biodegradable. Then there's zero tillage. You're talking of intensive tilling. There's zero tillage in Zimbabwe right now. The common narrative for agriculture, Minister of Agriculture, is the concept where you're simply digging holes and you are then adding your nutrients and your liming effects and your manure, green manure, into the specific holes, and then you plant exactly what you want in those different holes. And it's like the holes are made big enough, like ditches, so they also water harvest. So it's conservation agriculture. It's another form of sustainable farming. Then there's zero grazing. By zero grazing, you're internally grazed, but they're sort of pen fed in there, and they're being kept there, and they're not grazing as such. Then there's obviously things like crop rotation, and then there's a pest integrated system where you introduce other pests to eat on the pests that you already have, or that you are trying to see, that you are identifying on your crops. So in essence, those are some of the sustainable farming systems that we have. If anyone needs clarification, because of time, I just had to. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that was you made good use of the 2 minutes that you had. Because of time, unfortunately, we won't be able to take on any other questions. But I would love people. I know we have people, our panelists. Please share your contacts so that people can contact you. No, I know you're one of those as well who are in agriculture, consulting, giving advisory services, connecting farmers to suppliers and all that. So please also share your contacts as well, so that people can reach out and get in touch with people who are able to help them. So we have come to the end of our session today. It's been an hour and 15 minutes, but it just seems like we just started just 2 minutes ago. I benefited greatly from this conversation, and I hope that you have too. I know we've just scratched the surface, really. There's so much out there, but we can Google some of this stuff, and let's make the connections. Let us engage with one another. That's what this is all about, networking and engaging and learning from each other. I've just put a link on the chat box, SurveyMonkey. It's just literally 3 questions. It will take you less than a minute to actually answer. If you could kindly just click on that link and just answer the 3 questions. We would like to hear from you all. We would like to get your feedback regarding this webinar this afternoon. So it will take you less than a minute. But thank you so much, everybody. Our last webinar for this series is next week on Wednesday. I think it's the 7th of April. And we will really be having a mishmash where we are going to be talking about different things. And they're over the last 4 weeks or so, we have covered a lot of stuff, and we are kind of going to wrap it up and get people to ask questions and answer questions. And so we're going to touch on a number of things. So please make sure that you're there. It's not going to be on Thursday, but it's going to be on Wednesday at lunchtime. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And if possible, could we all just kind of show our faces and say hi and then mute before we all say our goodbyes. But thank you very much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure. I'm going to try and take a picture. I hope I manage. So thank you everybody for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye. Cheers.
Thank you,
Bye,
Nono.
and thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.